Well, it's been a while. Like I said in the last video, I'm not sure I have retired. You think that once you're retired, you'll have plenty of time to work on Greenland towels. But I've been busy doing other stuff. I'm retired, going camping with my wife, having a great bit of fun outside. Weather's good now. It's not too hot. It's not raining or anything. So I'm out in the garage and I start sanding. I'm out in the garage and wearing this stuff because cedar dust is very noxious. It's bad. It's just bad stuff. So you PPP up when you're doing this. Do plenty of ventilation. Outside is best. Starting with 80 grit. That's what I have. I have 100 also, but you feel about the same. And this is not as smooth as I'd like. Oh, somebody went by with boats. Cool. Not as smooth as I'd like, so I'm going to start it with the 80. Which says, round over the center ridge using long strokes. So it'll be a sharper curve near the shoulders and gentler curve at the tips. Yeah, there's almost nothing here, so I'll just get to it. Oh. Use a firm sanding block. If I have one, which I do, it's in a box somewhere. I got a piece of scrap 2x4. See a lot of tool marks down here, some chunks here. Remember, this was not quarter sawn wood. This is awful wood. That's what I got. So this isn't going to be perfect. He says on the next page, use feel more than your eyes. So already I can feel pretty nice here. I don't like this section. That's just bad wood. Oh, it's feeling pretty good. It might seem like I should be done by now. This is 80 grit, it's pretty coarse. There's two things I'm working on. One is I still see some pencil lines from when I was working with Coarse. I know that there's a hollow spots. And second is that the chunking down here I really want to get out. So I want to do a lot more here than probably on the other side. I'm glad I started on the worst side. Give me the face. Okay, rounding the center ridge, I think I'm done on this section. Next step is blend the faces into the edges. At the shoulder, the resulting shape should be a rounded diamond with gently curved sides. At the tip, the cross-section should be lenticular, elliptical, depending on how thick. You can feel here, these are still flat. So, what a corner here. That's it, rounding that. Okay, I'm just going to move this in some. Do the same down here. I'm only going this direction because I don't want to get tear out because my grain is bad. If you chose your wood properly, that wouldn't happen. Okay. He says here, although slight flats on the blade will do no harm, smooth curves produce the smoothest feeling paddle. Use your hands to feel the contour. It'll tell you more than your eyes will. What's cool about this, since I'm doing this for the video, is I've done both of these, and I've done this edge, and I've not done this edge. And you can actually feel the difference. This feels kind of yucky, and this feels kind of nice. So, that's right. You can just feel how good that is. Now I'm going to be coarse sanding the loom. I've changed a few things in here. It's gripped. I've wrapped a towel around this. I don't want to be using this too tightly. I'm not shaving right now or planing. I'm just sanding. There's not much force, so it's going to get wobbly. What I don't want is when I go work on this side, to have the clamp mar the surface. It's pretty light grip. I've also put some wedges in here since these jaws are parallel, and well, the blade isn't parallel. Move on. Focus around. Round over the faces, smooth out the edges. I'm going to have to do a lot of work here. There's a lot of work here. There's nice gouge now. Right there is where I gouged it some. I got another gouge over here. It's not going to be perfect, but I stopped the video there because it was getting less effective. I realized I might as well show this part. When it gets less effective, it could be clogging up. You can clean the sandpaper at some point, I guess, but just get fresh sandpaper, scissors, block the wood. Wrap it around a little bit. You don't really want to be doing this when you go with the grain sometimes. It's all you can do though. I was wrong. Do it right. That feels so nice. Next step. I'm gonna finish this later off camera. Next step is coarse sanding the shoulders. Gotta use the shoulders here. We're gonna create a shape that's comfortable. Sanding any grain so it's nasty. Go slowly, it's easy to remove a lot of material. Blend the loom into the blades. Do with sandpaper wrapped around your finger. Check the shape by eye and feel. Make sure all 4 shoulders have the same contour. Yeah. I wish that would happen. I'll try that here. I want to switch away from the 80 to the 100 because I'm running out of 80 and a half 100. I want it to go slowly. It's not going to work either way. Oh, finger, that's right. So that's probably as done as I want to do here. It's not a work of art. If I was symmetrical, this side to that side, there's way too much to remove on this side. I probably even need a bladed tool to shave down. I'll just do the best I can. I'm going to stop the video for now and finish up the coarse sanding on this side, this side, this side, the edges, and the bottom of the loom, but I'm not going to video that. So I have both those shoulders done. And this is done also, but there's one little step I did this on my other paddle. It doesn't say it in the book, but that's what I did and I kind of like it. You want to just wrap this around and go back and forth. It might skitter. That's what I do, it'll show you here. I'll have this edge lifted, that edge down, and go like that, in reverse. I guess one reason I do that is I guess I prefer a more rounded feel. In the book, he likes a more square feel with rounded edges, but that's what I do. So I was a bit concerned about the dust, because I see it's still here everywhere in all the stuff, and so it's probably all throughout the garage. So you can see what I've done is I've set up a large fan over there, blowing, presumably stuff will be airborne and it'll go outside. So that's what's up with that. I'll get back to sanding off camera. Oh, the other advantage of having the fan, of course, it'll keep me cooler. For some reason, it never occurred to me that this could be a hot, sweaty thing to be doing. Well, it is. Fan. But I'm not clamping very tightly. I'm going to be able to get to both sides of this. Clip it out. That's right. I can't lean on it. The next step is to do the fine sanding of the entire paddle. But there's actually a step before that, which is inspecting your work. I took it outside of the tank into the light, looked at it very carefully for sections that I had missed, either a pencil mark or a gouge. I know there are two separate sections, so don't skip that step. So if you go to the fine sanding and there's things are there, you gotta start over again. For fine sanding, I'm using a 150 grit sandpaper on a soft sanding block. I don't have a soft sanding block. I do have scrap styrofoam. I cut myself a soft sanding block. And I'm just gonna go with the grain. I'm doing the underside also, unlike before. I'm not taking a lot of material off. Use your feel. That feels really nice. I finished both sides, now I'm going to do the loom. That's not tight at all. And then just onto the shoulders. Good. The next step is to wet the paddle so that the grain stands up and you can sand it again. That's going to be tomorrow, but I can wet it now. Also, let's just see what the wood will look like. Wow, that's gorgeous. Let's see. The next step is to finish the sanding with the 220 sandpaper. I had wet it yesterday and let it dry overnight, so it's now tomorrow. I'll put my PPE on and turn the fan on. that should be done now. Done in terms of sanding, at least. You're doing the tips next. Can't really tell from the video, but it's really nice and smooth to the touch. You can see here, hopefully you can see here, I still do have tool marks. I knew that would be happening. This is not perfection. But overall, pretty happy with it. Well, I'm back downstairs now. So for this paddle, we're going to be epoxying the tips and also tinting them white. So I'm on step 24 in the book. And he says he likes to have for aesthetics, the white tip to be as long as or slightly longer than the width of the paddle. This paddle is supposed to be about scant 3 1/8 inch wide there. So I've come down here, made it 3 1/2. The next part I'm finding very confusing. He talks about marking the center of the paddle, which I've done, and essentially using this as a compass. I'm going to get the same distance from here to there. So let's see what this is. This comes out at 37 1/8. So I'll pivot this out to here. Now it's got to be a little longer. Hopefully this won't fall down. 37 1/8. 37 3/16 we'll mark. We'll do the same over here. 37 3/16. Now I'll just get a piece of scrap cardboard and connect those two lines. Okay. The things I'm a little confused about is in the book he has that at 30 inches and I'm at 37 inches. Maybe it's a short paddle or I'm not getting something, but I can clearly, it's not a typo because I can clearly see the photo on the next page with the 30 on it. So maybe it's being measured from here. Could be. Anyhow, one way that should work just as well is visually look at it. And I see here that this looks to be perpendicular. And that's what's most important, that it looks good. I'll tweak it some. I'll draw a very light line. Okay, that's it for down here. Oh, I want to do the other 4 sides, obviously. Oh, you can see, I clamped the paddles on my workbench so it was a little more stable. Okay. Now that I've marked the tips, it's time to put the first coat of the epoxy on. I do that just one coat, so we'll be white tinting these at the end. I don't have the orange respirator mask, but I'm in my garage, the door's right there. There's windows open, and I still have the fan blowing, so I can feel a breeze. It's going to push all the stuff out there. I ordered my stuff. I got these mixing cups thinking they'd be a little smaller. These are huge. And the lowest amount you can measure on it is 40 milliliters. And that's a lot. I'm not sure how much I need, but I don't want to do 40 milliliters of this and then 80 milliliters of the hardener. And so I called up Rocca, the company that makes this, and this will be a product plug, at least for the customer service. And they answered the phone immediately, and I asked about measuring by weight, not by volume. So I don't have syringes. I thought I did, and I don't. I don't have pumps. All I have is a nice accurate gram scale. So let's turn that on, get it into grams. Yeah, it weighs nothing. No, it actually weighs 10. Okay, so it's zeroed now for that. And I'm going to pour some of this in. How much? I don't know. Oh, I'm not wearing gloves either. I'm just going to be super, super careful. As you remember, I moved a few months ago. I can't find my gloves. I don't feel like running out and buying more. So we'll wing it and see what happens. Oh great, it's got something already that's going to spill on me.
Wish I had gloves. So I've got 0 grams here. Let's just pour some in and see what happens. Oh good, I got spillage. Lovely. 18 grams. Okay, so, oh boy, 18 grams, I need to do 43% of 18. So I'm gonna turn off the camera and use the calculator on my phone. Be right back. Actually, I'll see if Siri can handle it. Hey Siri, what's 43% of 18?
It's 7.74.
7.74. So that's close enough to 8. I don't smell anything yet, so that's good. Oh boy, this will be a problem. And now it's reading 17, not 18, so it was probably right on the line. So I'll make sure 18 plus 8, oh that stuff does smell. 18 plus 8 is 26. 18 plus 8 is 26. So I want to pour this very slowly because I don't want to exceed it. $20, 23, 25, smidge more, 25 still, 26. Okay, and we'll just put this on, let it drip down the side and not touch these. So be super, super careful. Raka says to mix it for 1 minute minimum, not making bubbles. 3 minutes is preferred. So, hey Siri, set a timer for 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Counting down.
Trying to go slowly to not introduce bubbles. But the neat thing is that the 305 non-blush is also designed to not have many bubbles. We'll see. I see plenty of bubbles in there already. Maybe they'll come out. Okay. Get stuff off the side. This drip. Just put it down here, hanging off of the space so it can harden and not stick to my garage forever. Using a foam brush. The book talks about bristle brushes, and I couldn't find my bristle brushes. Again, they're in a box somewhere, and I'm gonna go buy some. And so I googled foam brushes. I guess foam brushes are preferred, except for those situations where you're sanding. We should be sanding at least some of these layers, so it's actually not bad to do this. We're not going for a huge thick coat here. Oh, I should set another timer. Hey Siri, set a timer for 27 minutes. I'll notice if this is taking
27
out.
minutes. Starting now.
The end grain is going to be soaking in more. So we just have to put some onions. That's looking pretty fine. Well, the camera's running again because I forgot. I wanted to reposition the camera so you actually see the stuff go on. So. Out to the line, just barely crossing. I have tremendous shadow here. I should have put the lights on. Oh, too much over. Oops. Okay. Now I'll turn the camera off. Well, all four sides are done. I think in the book he said to periodically turn it to keep it from slopping on one side, so I'll do that every 15 minutes, whatever. I used probably half the epoxy, so that was way too much if you're going by weight for doing the first coating on two tips. I had hoped to, after this dried, to get the boiled linseed oil onto here, but talking to the nice folks at Rocca, they suggested waiting 24 hours because they don't want to get any linseed oil on top of here, since I will be recoating that with more epoxy later, and they probably know what they're talking about. So I'll be patient. I want to get it done to see how it all looks, but not now. So this is dried overnight, and it's not that great looking. It's very bumpy in spots, presumably from all the air bubbles I got from the bad stirring. So you can see what I've done over here. I took some 220 sandpaper and I'm knocking down those bubbles, okay, which is making this cloudy mess. But that is actually just epoxy dust. There's still some of the cloudy mess you can see there, but it's much smoother now. Presumably with wet sanding with even finer sandpaper, that should really help with that. I'm not too worried about that right now because first off, this is going to be covered with white, so it doesn't matter. I'm just, first time I've epoxied, I was surprised how it turned out. Let's get on to doing the boiled linseed oil. There's many choices of finish. I like boiled linseed oil, not for any particular reason. I've used tung oil before on other projects, and it finishes really nice. It takes forever to dry though. That's pure tung oil. I'm using boiled linseed oil today. It'll dry eventually, 24 hours, maybe more. Very easy to apply. What's nice about epoxying your tips, you can see I'm only doing this part, so I don't have to worry about how do I apply it but not mar the thing that's been applied. So here I don't worry about it. I'll use some rags. It's just torn up t-shirt material, an old t-shirt, and I've got a foam brush which I'll be doing the ends with. We'll see how that goes. Pour it into here so I can use the brush. I'm going to cap this. No, put it over there. Cap it. Cap it. Okay, I'll cap it some other time. It's right in the camera away. Going right up to my pencil line. You want to put it on thickly. I will now start using the rags just because that's faster. at all. Well, I'm gonna go back to using the brush because that's not working out. Last time I used a rag, maybe I just poured more on, but this is working very nicely. I want to put it on thickly. It's absorbing into the wood. Now here where I have end grain, I need to put a lot because it's going to absorb it quite well. .43. He says to apply for about 20 to 30 minutes or until the wood can no longer accept it. I have a tarp down. Now I'll carefully turn this over. Hey, it worked. And do the other side. Oh, gotta start up here, don't I? And that's a thing of beauty. Okay, at this point, I'm going to keep on going. I'm not bother taping it, obviously, because it's kind of boring to watch the whole thing. He says do it for 20 to 30 minutes until until the wood no longer absorbs it. And I'll just keep on going back and forth and doing it until it no longer absorbs it. When that's done, I will let this dry for 24 hours-ish. In a well-ventilated environment in the garage here, so the fumes don't come into the house. When I made my last one, I did it outside on my porch. Don't do this inside. It's not working. 10 minutes since I started, and the wood's no longer taking any more oil, so this is the time to stop. I will now wipe off the excess with my rag. The paddle's looking nice and dry now. There's a few things going wrong, of course. The stupid t-shirt is dropping lint everywhere. And these are hazardous. Now that these have the boiled linseed oil on them, you do not crumple them up and throw them in a trash can or a tin or whatever. They will spontaneously combust. I put them out in the sun on the driveway to dry, and then I throw them away after they're dry. I'll do the same thing for the brush. I'll put that out to dry and then throw it away. Hate wasting it, but that's one of the issues with this. Oh, one more thing to do, that's right. I want to carefully make sure I didn't get any of the linseed oil onto my epoxy tips. I will treat this as hazardous waste also. Combustible waste, whatever. That's it. Of course, it's actually not it. It's This I will do probably 4 times total, depending on how it looks. And the latter applications, I'll do the brush again next time. But thereafter, I'll be using I think the 300 and the 400 sandpaper to give it a nice finish at the end. And then I'll treat this, but that'll be a future video.